So today we're going to talk about steering dampeners and turning radius, because when I was at my dealer to get my first annual service, I asked a question because I've had people respond to me because I always complain that I don't like the turning radius. And so my dealer said, actually the service manager said, we now sell a steering dampener stabilizer, and it allows us to set the stops so that we can tighten up the turning radius a little bit. And so I said, okay, I'm in. So it's my understanding that the part is available on the outside market through Agile Off-Road, and it's a Fox steering stabilizer dampener, and it allows it's like a piston. I mean, I'll show a picture of it, but it basically helps the steering return to center, because a lot of people complain about that. It wasn't my problem, and it wasn't the reason that I went ahead and got it. I got it because I wanted to narrow the turning radius ever so slightly, or as much as I possibly could, because that's the problem that I have, is that the steering radius is just too wide, and you'll find yourself in an intersection trying to make a U-turn, and you end up having to do a 3-point turn. And 3-point turns in intersections is just not a good plan. So I thought it was worth a try. It cost about $500 installed, but the reason that I did it was that it was offered through my dealer, and I knew whatever he did wasn't going to void my warranty, because I'm one of those guys that it's like, I'll do something, but as long as it doesn't void my warranty. And yes, you can buy the part itself is about $300, and then the installation was $200 for me, but it's not something I would install myself. I'm not a mechanical guy. It's something that can be installed, and I know that Agile Off-Road even has videos on how to install it. I know if I find one, I'll link to it down in the description. But basically, the Agile Off-Road version of this Fox stabilizer is a direct fit for the INEOS Grenadier. So it's like a plug-in sort of situation. And so it allows further travel with the steering, and as a result, they can set the stops to maximize turning one way or the other, and enabling better turning radius. And I've tested it a little bit, and I can say there's a difference. It's not a huge difference, but if it helps me in a pinch, it's worth the investment. As far as I'm going to have to go to some place where I can turn and unturn and watch the steering wheel wind and unwind, because it's kind of almost like a shock absorber along the front axle, and as you turn, that compresses it, and when it uncompresses due to the pressure, it just resets the turning. Okay, so when I come to this stop, I'm going to turn the wheel, and then I'm going to see how it unwinds. And I just let go, and it just returns. Okay, and I think that's what people have been missing. They're like, it's not returning back, and normally you have to unwind the steering. So that's convenient. It's not something I just drastically needed, but it makes it just that much easier to drive, and it keeps the wheel stable. But again, I think it's one of those things you should try your standard steering before you do any modifications, and just see what you think about it before you invest in an upgrade. Of course, I've had mine for a year, and it was really about the turning radius that I wanted to improve, because the steering wasn't an issue for me, but I can see how it improves it. We are near the convention center, and there's all these people buzzing around. Okay, we are going to do a U-ey here. Okay, yeah, that's a lot different because I wanted to do a few of these in a non-critical place before I did it in a critical place, because I want to know sort of what the car is going to do differently. Because I got to the point where it's like, no, I'll make a left turn and then I'll find a place and I'll do my turning around and then I'll go back to the street, because I just don't want to be making 3-point turns in an intersection. And so, you know, taking this out and doing some, you know, circles and so forth kind of gives me an idea of like how I can judge how much different that turning radius is going to be. And I can tell now it's got smaller. Not the world's smallest turning radius, but it could just be enough where those intersections, you know, it's like 2 lanes and 2 lanes and you're in the turn lane. So we're going to continue on. We're going to go back to Seaport and do some things where we turn. I'm going to go. See, I mean, you see these buses making their little U-turns, and it just reminds me of driving the Grenadier, because it's funny, it feels really big when you're making a U-turn. So again, the fix is kind of simple, and of course I've seen it online and have heard other people talk about it, but I just never thought I was a candidate, because I'm like, I didn't think I needed it, until I learned that it could also allow you to set those steering stops at a much wider angle so that you get a tighter turning radius, and the fact that my dealer is installing them, because that kind of told me it's okay to do. Because I heard and saw people just setting their steering stops and changing, you know, things like that, and I didn't want to play around. I didn't want to do something that was dangerous or ill-advised, and, you know, just feel like, okay, well, if my dealer is installing this and setting the stops, I'm in a much better place. So that's why I went ahead and did it. Again, the part is available online, but you might talk with your dealer if you're the kind of guy that's like me, that's like, I want somebody to install it. I want it to be blessed by INEOS. And so it was worth it to me. And I don't think I paid that much extra to have them do it, that I would have paid somebody else to do it, because I would have had to hire somebody to do it anyway. But you can look at some videos about the actual steering stabilizer, and there are multiple versions of it. The Fox is the one that people talk about the most. And I think there's even 2 versions. There's a newer version of the Fox. But I just, again, went with what my dealer was offering and did it again for the turning radius. So I'm going to continue to drive, and then we'll make some turns and watch the steering, and I'll cut these things in and out because I'm sitting in traffic and that's boring for anything to watch. It's a busy day though. It's midday in San Diego. And there's a lot of people out. Convention going on, obviously. There's a Padre game going on. And it's the Dodgers, so it's sold out. I was thinking about making a U-turn here, and then I'm trying to judge the space, and then I see the sign says no U-turns. So they obviously don't think U-turns are a good idea here. So that's fine. We're going to turn left. We're going to watch the steering wheel unwind. Here we go. Give it a turn. Yeah, and it just goes back. It's not, you know, springy hard back, but it goes back. So now, let's just do some U. Since I got a nice wide open space. See, I think that feels a lot tighter than it used to be. I'm going to keep going around. Yeah, it's definitely tighter. And then of course you let go and the steering wheel comes back almost completely. So for those of you that either didn't like how the steering was or don't like how the turning radius is, consider this as a little upgrade. I obviously lived the last year without it, but I also had a little bit of angst when it came to turning and U-turning. And so I think that it's definitely something you might want to consider. Turn, turn, turn. Wheel comes back. So turn, turn, turn. And the wheel goes back. So that's kind of nice. I mean, that's just sort of what you are used to if you're driving a car. So I can see where it's supposedly going to help more on-road, but it also apparently doesn't really take away from the kickback or the lack of kickback in an off-road situation. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I think that was worthwhile. Again, it cost me about $550 installed, including tax and all that. And I'm sure if you do it yourself, you can do it for less. The part is about a $300 part. But something to consider if you've been concerned about the steering. The aftermarket has really taken to the INEOS Grenadier, and they've come up with a lot of solutions for things that people have either found lacking or wanting to customize. And so that's one of the good things about the Grenadier, considering people are like, oh, it's company's going out of business, it's too small, it's too something. There's a lot of aftermarket great stuff for the INEOS Grenadier. So anyway, this is another one of them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.